Hello, everyone, and welcome back for some more Drag Race gossip, secrets, and drama. So, I'm finally back for the Have Your Say series for season 18.
You're joking. Not another one?
I was recently away on vacation. I only just came back and there was lots of different content to catch up with. So, what I'm going to do is because there's already been 2 episodes of season 18, I'm combining episodes 1 and 2 into this one video. So, today we're going to be recapping both of the episodes, going through the results of both Have Your Say polls where you voted on whether you agreed with the outcome of the episodes. And I'll be talking about a little bit of drama semi-related to this season to do with Briar Blush having a feud with Jan. And Briar Blush gives more information about the off-camera fight between her and Athena Dion. All that and more coming up in today's video, so let's get started. Okay, so we're going to start with episode 1 and we're going to go through the entrance looks. Now, I did get you to vote on these in the Have Your Say poll, but in the interest of time, because we do have so much to cover, I'm just going to go through the entrance looks really quickly. I'm not really going to dwell on it too much. And what I'll do is at the end, I'll just kind of throw up the results of all of them just to kind of get through this a bit quicker. So in order in which they appeared, first up, we have Athena Dion from Miami, Florida. Next up, we have Kenya Pleaser from Sumter, South Carolina. After that is Nene Coco from Denver, Colorado. After that, we have Jane Don't from Seattle, Washington. Next up is Discord Adams from St. Petersburg, Florida. Next up is Mia Starr from West Palm Beach, Florida. Next up, we have Didi Fuego from New York City, originally from Monterrey, Mexico. The next queen is Juicy Love Dion from Miami, Florida again. A lot of Florida queens, especially Miami. Next up is Vita Von Teese Star from Montgomery, Alabama. Then we've got Briar Blush from Boston, Massachusetts. Next up is Mandy Mango from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Then we have Sierra Mist from Indianapolis, Indiana. Then we've got Darlene Mitchell from Los Angeles, California. And finally, we have Mikey Meeks from Orlando, Florida. Okay, so I'm quickly going to flash up the results of the Have Your Say poll. I asked you to rate the Queen's entrance looks, yay, nay, or just okay. As you can see, a lot of them did get yays, and some of them were a little bit more in the middle, like Darlene Mitchell and Briar Blush maybe had slightly more mixed reviews, but then you also had some people like, Athena Dion and Discord Adams, Vita Fonte Star, who had really high rankings. So that's kind of just an overview, but I feel like most of them had pretty good entrance looks. So we find out the main challenge for this week is a design challenge, which is a bit different because that's kind of switching it up from the more recent format, which is that it's talent show first, but we're going back to the sort of old school ways, and the queens have to make outfits using materials from previous design challenges. Oh, also, we find out that the guest judge for this week is Cardi B, which is really cool. That's a pretty cool person to get for the first episode. Okay, so I'll just go through all of the looks in order in which they appeared. The first queen up was Sierra Mist. I thought this outfit was really cool. It was very out of the box, unusual. It was well made. I personally would give it a yay. In the Have Your Say poll, I was a little bit surprised because it was mostly just okay with 47%, 35 for yay, and then 17.6 for nay. I would have put it more in the yay category personally. After that was Athena Dion. I think it's a cute outfit. It's a little bit more simple than maybe I was expecting, but she does say she's not necessarily a seamstress, so I think it was fine, but I think I'd give it a just okay. And it looks like you agreed in the Have Your Say poll, 61.5% for just okay, but then it was actually completely split between yay and nay with 19.2, so I guess you didn't quite know how to feel outside of just okay. Next up was Kenya Pleaser. Now, this outfit is interesting. It was very much giving me a little bit La La Ree with the bags vibe, in the sense that it was not very good. But I love Kenya so much. She's so charming. She really did sell it on the runway. But yeah, this was not very good. It has to be a nay, unfortunately. And in the Have Your Say poll, I think you agreed because 87.6% said nay, 10.3% for just okay, and only 2% for yay. After that was Nene Coco. I thought this outfit was really cool. It kind kind of looked simple from a distance, but when you go up close and you sort of look at the details, that's really not easy to do, and to get the proportions and the folds right, that is artistry, and it stood out because it was so different. So definitely a yay. In the Have Your Say poll, it was 84% for yay, so I think you agreed. 14.1 for just okay, which I was a bit confused about, and then a weird 1.9% of you said nay. After that was Jane Don't. I really liked this outfit. Don't like the fabric very much, but that's not necessarily her choice. But the way she constructed this, I mean, I do have a PhD in fashion and sewing, obviously.
Lies.
But I can see that would have taken such effort to be able to get like that so perfect. It fit her so well. That is a proper seamstress. That is not easy to do. So for me, definitely a yay. In the Have Your Say poll, I was a bit surprised that only 76.4% of you said yay. 20.7 for just okay. Maybe because the actual colors and everything aren't very nice, and then 2.9 for nay. After that was Discord Adams. I really like this outfit. I think it's actually really pretty, and she probably could have been further in the top, but it's that walk that got me. I thought maybe it was a bit that she was doing, but I'm not sure it is, because we'll talk about this later, but she did it in the second episode. I do think the walk took away from it, but also maybe she's just trolling us because it's fun. But in terms of the outfit itself, I would give it a yay, but the walk took it down to a just okay. And I think some of you agreed, because it was 63.8 for yay, so the majority, but then 30% said just okay, and then 6.1% of you said nay. After that was Mia Starr. I think this is actually quite a cute outfit. It's maybe a little bit more simple because it is effectively a corset with a few things stuck to it and then boots, which I'm assuming she didn't make. But the black and white theme always looks good. We do have another black and white outfit coming up, which we'll talk about shortly, which was a lot better. So in comparison to that, this probably would have been a just okay. And it looks like you agreed 60.5% for just okay, 20.1 for yay, but then 19.4 for nay. So not that different between yay and nay. The next queen was Didi Fuego. This outfit was not my favorite, unfortunately. This sort of silver foily bit kind of just looked like an afterthought, and it was giving a little bit baked potato couture, if you remember Jiggly Caliente RIP from season 4, when they said it was baked potato couture. It was giving me a little bit that, because it was effectively just a really simple thing with all of this foil stuff. So unfortunately, I'd have to give it a nay. And it looks like you agreed 62% for nay, 33.4 for just okay though, so a third, and then 4.7 for yay. After that was Juicy Love Dion. For someone who doesn't sew, I think this isn't bad. I think the outfit itself is just a little bit too simple. And as Cardi said, when it's in motion and flowing, it's okay. But when it's still, it is kind of a bit basic. So I probably would give it either a nay or a just okay. And in the Have Your Say poll, you were probably a bit more harsh. You said nay 62.7%, 32.9 for just okay, and then only 4.4 for yay. After that was Vita Von Teese Star. This was such an amazing outfit. It fit her so well. It was so well constructed. Black and white always looks good. It's so classy. The fact that she made this out of umbrellas, I believe, amazing. That this is clearly someone who knows sewing, like me. She actually went to the Matt School of Sewing. Baloney! You can tell she knows what she's doing. It fit her beautifully. It was such a cool look. So definitely a yay. And I think, not sure, I think you agreed, 96.4% for yay. I think that might be one of the highest we've ever had. 3.1% for just okay. And then nay, I actually can't see the percentage because it's so low. After that was Briar Blush. This was not my favorite outfit, to be honest. I don't think the proportions really work. I don't think it was the most flattering in terms of it just like, it was a bit too much around here and then just the legs. And I don't know, it didn't really give me what I wanted. Yeah, I think I would give it a just okay, because I don't think it's bad, but it certainly was more on the nay side than the yay side. And in the Have Your Say poll, maybe you agreed. You said 50%, so straight down the middle for just okay. Then nay got the second amount with 32.9, and then yay got 17.1. The next queen was Mandy Mango. Yeah, this was not very good, unfortunately. When I first saw it from a distance, I thought it might be okay, but looking at it a bit closer, it did kind of just look a bit like a potato sack, like they said. And the flowers, I think, at the bottom, the trailing bits, were the most egregious to me because it was just unnecessary. If it was a little bit more couture, I think it could have worked. But unfortunately, this mango was not to my taste. And I usually love mangoes, so I will have to give it a nay, I think. And I think you agreed because 74.8%, let's call it three quarters, said nay, 22.9 for just okay, and then only 2.3 for yay. Then, penultimately, we have Darlene Mitchell. I think this is okay. It's kind of cute, but it is also a little bit simple, but it's not as offensive as some of the other simple outfits. So I probably would give it a just okay. And I think you agreed 61.7% for just okay. Then it was yay with 24.8%, and then nay got 13.6%. And then finally, we have Mikey Meeks. I think this outfit is nice. The colors are nice, but it is very simple. I think maybe compared to some of the others, at least it wasn't offensive, but it wasn't as good as some of the others we've had in this challenge, so it would fall more towards the just okay. In the Have Your Say poll, you said 62.4% for just okay, 25.2% for yay, and then 12.4% for nay. So then I asked you who gets the slay. By the way, that is me doing a sewing machine, not a record scratch DJ, although I could do both.
Actually, no, that's not the truth.
But you voted Vita Von T Star with 71.9%, which was the biggest by far. Nini Coco got 15.9, and then all the others are pretty split, but third place did go to Jane Don't with 5.5. I definitely agree. Vita's outfit was by far the best. It was so well made, looked beautiful, looked like something she brought from home. It was that good. So yeah, definitely she gets the slay. So we find out the top two for this week are Vita Von T Star and Nini Coco. And in the Have Your Say poll, I said, did you agree with the top two? You said 72.4% for yes and 27.6% for no. So over a quarter of you did not agree. So in the next question, I said, if you said no before, who do you think should have been the top two? And the two that came out on top were Vita Von T Star and Jane Don't. So we find out the bottom two are Kenya Pleaser and Mandy Mango. I asked you, did you agree with the bottom two? And you said 65.5% for yes and 34.5% for no. But for those of you who did say no, which was quite a decent amount, I said, who would you put in the bottom two instead? And you voted mostly Kenya Pleaser, but then the person who came out after that was Didi Fuego. So it sounds like you would have switched out Mandy for Didi. But then Juicy Love Dion also got a decent amount as well. So we find out there is not actually going to be any eliminations this week, which I think is fair. So instead of a bottom two lip sync for your life, we get a top two lip sync for the win between Vita and Nini. And they lip synced the song Enough, brackets Miami by Cardi B, obviously, the guest judge. And we find out Nini is the winner of the lip sync and therefore wins the challenge. I said to you, who do you think won the lip sync in your opinion? You voted 89.5% for Nini and only 10.5% for Vita Von T Star. So the final two questions. Question A, I said, based on what we've seen so far, which is obviously quite limited, who do you want to win the season? As you can see, this was very split, but the person who did come out on top was Nini Coco with 16.3%. But then not that far behind was Vita Von T Star with 16%. So there was only 0.3 percentage difference. And then after that was Kenya Pleaser with 15.9. But it was a relatively even spread of votes. But then moving on to question 9 that I think is more interesting in some ways, in which based on what we've seen so far, who do you think will win the season? This one definitely gave a much bigger proportion. It was 36.3% for Athena Dion, 22.3% for Vita Von T Star, and 20.1% for Nini. Okay, so let's quickly move on to the comments for this episode. We'll start with my Patreon comments. My Patreon Max said, this feels like it's going to be a seasoned queens versus younger queens season. I definitely agree. It's very much giving season 6 vibes and I'm here for it. Can we make Cardi a permanent judge? I loved Cardi B so much. She was funny. She was really gave useful critiques that were very insightful. And she's just such a likable person. And I definitely agree she should be a permanent judge. My Patreon Riot said something kind of similar about the seasoned casting. I love a more seasoned cast. As a queen who myself is a little bit more seasoned because I'm only 21.
Oh, come on. No one's going to believe that.
I do quite like that the season definitely leans older, although it's only 30 plus, which is not old. My Patreon Emmy, though, said for a season premiere, I honestly found the episode a little underwhelming. I agree, maybe it wasn't the most interesting because it was a design challenge, but I think it was okay, but I feel like we've definitely had better premieres. And my patron Nikki basically said something similar, saying this was not the most exciting first episode, but I think the cast is going to be great. My patron Yael said I enjoyed the first episode. The design challenge had some of the worst outcomes I've seen. And my patron Anne brought up a really funny moment when RuPaul said that Nene looked like Alicia Edwards. And at first I was like, who are you talking about? And it took me a second to realize she meant Alyssa Edwards. And that was so funny because RuPaul clearly doesn't even remember her own name, let alone the names of the queens. So I thought that was so funny. And then in the comments from the Have Your Say poll, quite a few comments saying that the episode was not as good as some of the other premieres, which I've already said. Someone's talked about Discord Adams' walk and says has to change that walk because the dress was slaying, but the walk not so much, which I agree with. Okay, so let's move on to episode 2. We find out that the main challenge for this week is the girl group challenge, which I always really love the girl group challenge. And there are 3 song genres, I guess you'd call it, to choose from. There's disco, 80s pop, and punk rock. And the 2 tops from last week got to pick the teams, and then the people who were left then made a 3rd team. And it was so funny that Athena was so pressed about not being chosen. Honestly, to me, that would make me not want to pick her more. And I bet the producers and the other queens are like, right, lock that in. We're going to keep doing that again and again to see if we can get a Jan face crack moment. Because let's be honest, Athena was just giving us what we wanted. We were just there with the popcorn. I loved that. And I asked you in the Have Your Say poll, out of the 3 song genres, which one would you have picked? You said punk rock, 49.8%, 34.9% for 80s, and then 15.3% for disco. And I definitely agree because they were all fighting over disco, and that was like the big drama of the episode was when the queens were fighting over who gets what and the teams were getting very heated. Personally, I would not have picked disco because I do feel like disco has less of a sort of stereotypical identity in a way. I feel like if you do punk rock, you can just do the kind of like, black, goth, that kind of stuff. And I think that's quite an easy route. Pop, you can do, pink, bubblegum, princess, whatever. But with disco, I feel like it's harder to convey that. So I never would have picked disco. I personally, I think, would have picked pop because I am a pop diva.
I lost all hope today.
We also get the choreography sessions and the recording sessions. It's kind of what you'd expect. Some teams are struggling because of, that expression of too many cooks spoil the broth. And then poor Nene has throat problems and she can barely speak, and that's quite a big drama. But then in the end, it seems like maybe she was okay because her voice sounded decent in the end recording. But it was very heartwarming to see how that can be such a big thing because she was crying and was so upset because she just couldn't speak. And as someone who often loses their voice when they scream, because she lost it in the screaming challenge in episode 1, I can definitely relate to that. When I used to, back in the day, go to the clubs with the kids, because I'm down with the kids, I used to lose my voice all the time. Okay, so let's actually go through the 3 different groups. I'll go through them in order in which they appeared, and I'll do it per group. Okay, so the first group was the Studio 50 Whores, which I will say is actually a really good name, which was the Funk Almighty Disco group. And the first queen to perform was Athena Dion. I was not that big a fan of Athena's. I thought someone who was quite experienced, and she sort of talked about that, I thought she was going to be a bit better than she was. It did seem a bit like, da-da-da-da-da-da-da, I'm coming for this, give me the crown. It was that kind of slightly generic, I don't know. I think I'd give it either a just okay more towards the nay, because I think there were a lot better verses. And in the Have Your Say poll, you said 51.4% for just okay, then 35.8% for nay, and then 12.8% for yay. Also, can I just say how shady it was that they kept focusing in on the judges like TS and Michelle being like, I love peak Drag Race shade where they just zoom in on something. The next queen to perform was Darlene Mitchell. I really liked Darlene. She was very much leaning into the whole I can't sing and I can't dance, being stupid, and the kind of like, and she just did that note for so long, and it was so flat and awful, but it was funny, and she's so charming and likable that I think actually did it went from being bad all the way around to good again. But I think, was it the best verse? No, but it was funny, so I'd give it a just okay towards a yay. In the Have Your Say poll, it's very split. 45.1% for just okay, but then between yay and nay, it was almost identical. Nay did come out on top with 27.8, so maybe you didn't like it as much as I did, even though it was sort of dumb and stupid. Maybe I am dumb and stupid.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And then yay got 27.1%. Next up was Mandy Mango. I thought Mandy was actually pretty decent. Maybe the lyrics were like a little bit corny or a little bit kind of didn't quite work with the rhythm at times. But I think in this group, which was not very good group, I do think she stood out as probably the best one, maybe, or one of the best ones, but it still wasn't amazing, so I'd give it a just okay. I will say she performed it well, though. In the Have Your Say poll, she got 46.5% for just okay, 31% for yay, and then 22.5% for nay. And finally in this group, we had Didi Fuego. I think Didi, I thought she actually was okay, but I just feel like none of the queens really match the disco vibe, which is very much what RuPaul said, hence why I would not have picked disco, because it's quite hard to do that. I think Dee Dee's lyrics were kind of fun, but they didn't necessarily tell me a massive amount about her as a queen. But I think it was okay, and I would say probably it's a just okay. In the Have Your Say poll, you were a lot more harsh, though, because you said 52.8% for nay, then 39.3% for just okay, and then 7.9% for yay. Then we're going to move on to the second group, which was the Go 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 80s pop girl group, which is called Glam. So first up was Mia Starr. I loved Mia. She was one of my favorites. I thought she performed it really well. She is obviously a trained dancer, so I was kind of expecting that she would do the performance well. But her lyrics were really fun. It really hit the rhythm well. It sounded like a real song verse, so I would definitely give it a yay. In the Have Your Say poll, it was 81.2% for yay, so it seems like you agree, 17.2% for just okay, and then 1.6% for nay. After that was Kenya Pleaser. I really like Kenya. She's so fun. She's so charismatic. She definitely gives me Latrice Royale vibes, and she was really taking me to church, which is very much Latrice's thing. Her voice, I'm talking about Kenya now, was so good. I really liked it. It really worked well with the song, and I really enjoyed her performance, so I would give it a yay. In the Have Your Say poll, it was a little bit less than I thought it was going to be on the yay. It was 68.9% for yay. Then it was 28.7% for just okay. I would have put her more towards the yay side, and then 2.4% for nay. After that was Sierra Mist. I think Sierra's really fun. I love the kind of the overdrawn makeup that she does. It's really fun. The bit I loved the most was when she just slapped the other queen. I thought that was probably one of the funniest bits of the whole performance. In terms of her lyrics, they were fine, but I guess it didn't really say anything about her. They were just very much giving like, peace and love, we're all unique, and which is great, but maybe there were some other verses that were better, so I'd give it a just okay. In the Have Your Say poll, you said 59.1% for just okay, so you agree, 35.3% for yay, and then 5.6% for nay. Then we had Nene Coco. For someone who lost her voice, I thought she actually sounded pretty decent in the recording. I was expecting her to come out sounding awful, like cats being dragged in a bag, swung in a bag. What's the expression? Something to do with cats. Anyway, I liked Nene. I think maybe it could have been bigger and better, but I do think the sore throat thing probably hindered her slightly, but I would give it a just okay. And then in the Have Your Say poll, it was 55.7% for just okay, 35.6% for yay, and 8.7% for nay. And finally in this group, we had Mikey Meeks. Also, someone mentioned, and I can't unsee this, on social media, someone said Mikey out of drag looks like that person from Game of Thrones. Can't remember, I've never watched Game of Thrones, but I know the actress, and it really, when I saw her, I thought that is exactly who she looks like. So now all I can see is it Arya? Something? Anyway, the person from Game of Thrones. I can't unsee it now. Anyway, going back to the real Mikey Meeks, I thought this was fine. Her voice sounded pretty good, and I liked the lyrics. Again, was it the most memorable? No, but I think she did a good job, so I would give it a yay / just okay. In the Have Your Say poll, it looks like you were a bit harsher than I was, because you said 53.9% for just okay, and then 43% for yay. I probably would have switched them around, and then 3% for nay. And finally, we had the punk rock group with the song Cherries, and the group name was The Tucked-Aways. First up was Discord Adams. Now, I will say I was a little bit expecting more from Discord, because she literally said in the workroom that she's in an actual punk band, and that's kind of her job outside of drag as well. And I do feel like when queens say that, they are setting themselves up in a way. So I was expecting her to do a bit better. It was fine, but I don't think it was hugely memorable in this group especially, so I probably would give it a just okay. In the Have Your Say poll, you said 46.9% for just okay, 35.2% for yay. I would agree, it was probably a just okay towards a yay, and then 18% for nay. After that was Vita Von T's Star. I liked her verse, I thought it was fun, she performed it well, it definitely had a little bit of humour as well in it, which is always good. So I would give her a yay, but it was a yay towards just okay. In the Have Your Say poll, it was 58.9% for yay, I would agree with that, 37.2% for just okay, and then 3.9% for nay. After that was Briar Blush. I was definitely expecting Briar to do well because if we look at her, you know, in her confessional and everything with the long hair, she does definitely give punk rock energy. I think she lived up to that because she had that kind of raspiness in her voice and the way she performed it was very much giving punk rock. I thought it was fun, so I would give it a yay. In the Have Your Say poll, it was 64.5% for yay, so a decent amount, but I thought maybe she would get a bit more. 29.4% for just okay, and then 6.1% for nay. And then penultimately was Jane Don't. I love Jane so much. She obviously, we all love to laugh, as we know, and RuPaul loves to laugh. So I think Jane was very smart that she had lots of funny bits in it. And it worked really well. Her lyrics were funny, but it was just actually fun to watch her and she performed it really well. And we all love a joke about testing positive, going to the clinic. It's always going to get a good laugh. So I would definitely give this a yay. In the Have Your Say poll, Jane got 90.9% for yay. So just a little bit for yay, 8% for just okay, and then 1.1% for nay. And then finally for this group was Juicy Love Dion. I really appreciated her diction. Yes, I said diction. Don't get excited. I didn't say another word that sounds like that. Because I could hear every single word she was saying, which with some of the others, it's sometimes hard when they're speaking so quickly, or maybe it's just me, Granny, being deaf, but I just can't really hear very well. So I understood everything she was saying and I thought it was fun, so I would give it a yay. In terms of the Have Your Say poll, you voted 62.4% for yay, 32.9% for just okay, and then 4.7% for nay. So I asked you overall which group was the best, and you said the Tucked Aways with a landslide 73.4%. Glam then got 25.5%, and then Studio 50 Whores only got 1.1%. And then I asked you whose verse gets the slay, and you voted Jane Don't with 53.8%, which was the vast majority, more than anyone else. Mia Starr came in second with 15.4%, and then all the others were pretty close, but Briar Blush was third with 17.7%. And I would definitely agree, Jane Don't by far was the best this week. She was funny, it made sense, the lyrics were good, she performed it really well. Yeah, everything was great. Jane definitely does deserve the slay. Do you see what I did there? Okay, so let's move on to the runway for this week, and the category was your neck, your back, your pussy, and your crack. And it's a look that shows off different body parts. Okay, so first up was Athena Dion showing her back. I thought this was a cute look. I think it looked a bit better before she took it off just because it looked a bit more complete. But I thought the back looked good, and she said no back rolls here.
Back rolls.
So I would probably give it a yay towards a just okay, because I think we have seen better versions of this look. In the Have Your Say poll, it was 50.6% for yay, 43.8% for just okay, and then 5.6% for nay. Next up was Darlene Mitchell showing her skin. I actually, ironically, was very confused by this outfit, but I kind of liked it. As someone who's just come off vacation themselves, I do have a bit of a tan line going on. I'm not sure if you can really see it as much with this lighting, but if I just like put up the... Can you see there's a bit of a tan line going on right there. So I do feel like I can sort of relate to having the farmer's tan, and I didn't have to paint mine on. But the look itself is maybe a little bit simple, but I did like how dumb it was. But I think because it is so simple, I probably would have to give it a just okay. In the Have Your Say poll, you were extremely split on this. It was basically a three-way split. We all love a good three-way.
I like to keep
Shut up! You're a whore.
You know what?
But just okay did come out on top with 36.6%. Not that far behind was yay with 33.4%, and then nay got 30%. So very split. After that was Mandy Mango showing her face. I could see the idea behind this and the concept. We all know I love a good concept. And obviously it was supposed to be sort of like an altar or table with the picture frame and everything. I don't think I got that right away because the actual execution was slightly messy. I don't think the colors really worked that well. If the execution had been better, I would have said this would be a good look. But as it currently is, I think I would have to give it a nay, unfortunately. In the Have Your Say poll, it was 46.4% for nay, so I think you agreed. 37% for just okay. I guess you could argue maybe just okay. And then 16.2 for yay. The next queen up was Didi Fuego showing her legs. I thought her legs did look amazing. If I had legs like that, then I would definitely show them off. But the actual outfit itself was a little bit simple. It was basically just a big ruffle with a kind of, I don't know, bodysuit, I guess, or something. I don't even know what you would even call that. A leotard? Somebody in the comments let me know what you call this, but it was a little bit simple. Her legs look great, but the rest of the outfit not so much, so I probably would have to give it a nay. In the Have Your Say poll, it was very close, so nay did get 48.2%, but then Just Okay got 39.5%, so not that far behind, and then 12.4% for yay. After that was Mia Starr, who was showing all of them, so her neck, her back, her pussy, and her crack. I thought the outfit was cool, and obviously she sort of would reveal the different things. I do think, as they said, maybe the face should have been shown a little bit more, but I guess it was a stylistic choice to keep the focus on the other parts. I think it was okay. I probably would give it a just okay, but it missed out on being a yay for me because I think it probably could have just been elevated slightly. In the Have Your Say poll, you said 45.7% for just okay, 37.1% for yay, and then 17.2% for nay. After that was Kenya Pleaser showing her everything. I liked the concept for this look, and it was sort of giving very clean lines, and she was just showing off all of herself, and she was obviously talking about body confidence, especially being maybe a bigger girl. I thought that was a really nice way of showing that off, and she did look great. The outfit is just a tiny bit simple, though. I think there are other ways that you slightly could have done that, but I do like it, so I would give it a just okay towards a yay. In the Have Your Say poll, you said 51.5% for just okay, so over half, but then nay did come out on top afterwards with 24.9%, but only a little bit behind was yay with 23.6%, so you were quite split on yay and nay. Next up was Sierra Mist showing her eyes. I loved this outfit so much. That massive eye headpiece was so well done. The details were on point. Imagine having to take this on an airplane and literally fly and go to Drag Race and pack that. And the fact that it's not wrinkled, the fact that it's not creased or broke, that is an amazing look, and also just amazing feat in general. So I would definitely give it a yay. In the Have Your Say poll, it was 73.4% for yay, so almost 3/4 of you said yay, 21.7% of you said just okay, and then 5% for nay. After that was Nini Coco showing her brain. I liked that she picked her brain because no one else kind of went for something like that. It was a really good outfit though. I thought the execution was really great. The brain actually did look like a brain, but a very bedazzled brain. So I really enjoyed this. I would definitely give it a yay. In the Have Your Say poll, 60.7% for yay, I would agree, but then maybe I would have put it higher. 34.3% for just okay, and then 5% for nay. After that was Mikey Meeks showing her legs. I loved this kind of like movable leg thing. That was really funny and really stupid. I do think once she took that bit off, though, the outfit was maybe a little bit simple, but I really liked the concept and it was a bit of fun, a bit of wink, wink, nudge, nudge type thing. So I would give it a yay, but probably a yay / just okay. In the Have Your Say poll, you said 50.2% for just okay, so basically half. 36.8% for yay. I guess I probably would put it there as well. And then 13% for nay. After that was Discord Adam showing her back and crack. Now, the walk was back, back, back again. So this obviously wasn't just a one-time thing. I wonder if that is just how she's going to walk every single time. It is a little bit distracting, but I also kind of live for it because it at least gives us some entertainment. But in terms of the actual look itself, I liked it. I think it worked well. Is it the most innovative? Maybe not, but it's good. So I'd give it probably a just okay towards a yay. In the Have Your Say poll, pretty much half of you, 50.6% said just okay, but then nay was 31.8%. I wonder if it was because of the walk rather than the outfit, and then 17.7% for yay. Next up was Vita Von T Star showing her butt. I really liked this outfit. It was actually giving me quite Beyonce vibes. I don't think that's the reference that she said on the runway, but to me it was giving Beyonce. Loved the big hat, loved the butt. We all love a big hat and a big butt, right? The outfit was really good. Maybe a tad simple compared to some of the others, but all of the elements were there and it looked good, so I would give it a yay. In the Have Your Say poll, 61.5% said yay, 35% said just okay. I think I would have pushed it more towards the yay side, and then 3.5 for nay. Next up was Briar Blush showing her finger. I loved that she chose her finger. That's really cool that she thought outside the box and thought what's no one else going to pick. And she just had that one finger. It was very much because it was so pointy. It was giving me, if anyone knows this random reference, kind of, or very niche, is when Tatiana at the reunion for season 2 was like, you will not speak until you're spoken to. And her finger, it's basically like this. It's so funny that she has such a pointy finger. That's kind of what Briar was giving me. I really liked the look. It's very simple and kind of almost giving me Black Widow going to her 5th husband's funeral, you know, all in black with the veil, but it's a very sexy veil. So I think I'd give it a yay. In the Have Your Say poll, I was surprised that more people didn't say yay. 48% said yay, but then it was 41.1% for just okay, so not that far behind. I would have put it more towards yay, and then 10.9% for nay. Then penultimately was Jane Don't showing her mouth. I loved this outfit so much. Not only was it dumb and whimsical, I would know about that, but I thought it was impeccably made and it was just really fun and was such a fun idea to showcase her mouth and everything. So definitely she gets a yay from me. In the Have Your Say poll, 3/4 of you, literally exactly 75% said yay, 20.4% for just okay, and then 4.7% for nay. And finally was Juicy Love Dion showing her left leg, specifically the left one, not the right one. I really liked that she just showed the left, not the right one. That's so specific and random. The actual outfit itself is pretty cool though. I liked it. It's maybe not the most innovative, but it works with the concept. So it would get a yay / just okay. In the Have Your Say poll, 60.8% for yay, which I think feels fair. 33.7% for just okay, which again I think feels fair, and then 5.5% for nay. I asked you in the Have Your Say poll, whose runway would get the slay, as in the best runway, and you voted 29.4% for Sierra Mist, Jane Don't with 17.2%, and then Nene Coco with 13%. I personally would give it to Sierra Mist. Those big eyes, the big prop pieces, the actual outfit was just so impeccably made. So we find out that the winner for this week is Jane Don't. I asked you in the Have Your Say poll, did you agree with the top 2? Now, I did this when I was still a little bit jet lagged, delirious, whatever you want to call it, or just dumb.
You're dumb.
But I should have just put, did you agree with the winner rather than the top 2? Because there wasn't really a top 2. But you said 65.2% for yes and 34.8% for no. So of those people who said no, I said who should have been the top 2. But I guess we could also call it who should have been the winner. Now, Jane Don't did come out on top with 52.5%, which does make sense because she won. But I guess we could look at the second one, which was Briar Blush. So maybe those people thought that Briar Blush should have won instead. So we find out the bottom 2 this week are Mandy Mango and Didi Fuego. I asked you in the Have Your Say poll, did you agree with the bottom 2? And you voted 60.2% for no, so you actually did not agree with the outcome, and 39.8% for yes. So of that majority, which was 60% who said no, I said who should have been the bottom 2 instead. And you said Didi Fuego with 61.9%, but then the second place by far was Athena Dion with 59.7%, so you'd have switched out Mandy for Athena Dion. So Mandy and Didi then lip-synced the song Too Much by Dove Cameron. Dove Cameron was the guest judge this week. And we find out Mandy Mango wins the lip sync, which means unfortunately Didi Fuego becomes the first queen to get eliminated from season 18. I asked you in the Have Your Say poll, who do you think won the lip sync in your opinion? And by a landslide, 97.3%, Mandy Mango came out on top, with Didi only getting 2.7%. Moving on to the final 2 questions. Question 12 was, based on what we've seen so far, who do you want to win the season? And Jane Don't actually came out on top this time with 20.9%. Then it was Nene Coco with 18.6%. And then Vita Von T Star came out third with 12.5%. And then perhaps more interestingly, question 13 was, based on what we've seen so far, who do you think will win the season? And this was, again, a change from what we saw last week. So Jane Don't came out on top again in this one with 34.5%, which is different from episode 1 when Athena came out on top. Then it was Vita Von T Star with 22%, and then Nene Coco with 20.4%. So let's move on to the comments for episode 2. We'll start with my Patreon comments. My Patreon Patty said, I don't know, I feel kind of bad saying this, but I found this episode incredibly boring. And this is kind of a running theme. I feel like other people have said this. My Patreon Cherish said something a bit similar, which was, this episode was a bit of a sleeper, but I'm hoping they'll pick up in an episode or 2. My Patreon Scary Kerry said, I'm loving this well-seasoned cast. So again, kind of leaning in from what we said in episode 1 of the Queens leaning towards the more seasoned side. And my Patreon Deb said, I wanted to see more of Dee Dee, sad she went home. In the Have Your Say poll comments, a lot of people were talking about Athena, and someone said Athena thought that she was the Nicole Scherzinger of her Pussycat Dolls, which I think is really funny, as in the main character. And I definitely agree. Mandy's lip sync was so good. The fact that RuPaul was literally laughing, kept looking over at Michelle and everything, you could tell she was absolutely living, and I lived as well. It was a great lip sync. But let me know in the comments what you thought of episodes 1 and 2. Which episode did you prefer? And based on those 2 episodes, how do you think the rest of the season is going to go? And finally, we're going to move on to some quick drama that is semi-related to this season, which involves Briar Blush getting called out by Jan. As we've seen so far, Briar Blush is known for being quite outspoken, and some people think that she might end up being one of the quote villains of the season who might bring the drama. Well, ever since Briar was announced as being part of the season 18 cast, people had been going through her old videos on social media. One video Briar did back in 2023 recently resurfaced again, and in the video, Briar tells a story about the time she worked with a rude drag race queen, and although at first she didn't say the queen's name, in a later video she revealed that it was season 12 contestant Jan.
The rudest drag queen I've ever met was from season 12, and I was doing tip collecting, and I won't name names, but I collected her dollars after her performance, and I went up to her and I was like, okay, where do you want me to put these dollars? And she says, oh, can you put them in a bag? And I was like, oh, okay, like, what bag do you want me to do? I have to go collect the next person's dollars soon, blah, blah, blah. And she goes, I don't know. Put it in a bag. I don't care. Go find one. And I will never forget that queen was that rude. Like, I just collected your money off the floor for like 3 minutes straight. Like, chill out. Also, after the club has closed, she's walking out and she goes, oh, thank you for coming and supporting. And I was just like, I work here. And she was just like, oh, okay, thanks. Bye. Okay, fine. It was Jan.
After this video resurfaced, people wanted to know the tea and what Jan thought about getting called out by Briar back in 2023. It seems that Jan must have been getting messages and comments about it ever since Briar was announced for season 18. So Jan recently addressed Briar's accusations in a live video where Jan not only denied what Briar was saying, but she also said no one likes Briar and that she is, quote, sick in the head.
You can tell from just one single episode of her being on that show that she's a shitster and likes that. And why do I think she would lie? Why do you think I wouldn't be nice to people who are helping me? People in her town don't like her. People in her cast don't like her. It's just, I don't need to explain it. All will be revealed. That woman is sick in the head.
These clips were shared all over social media on places like Reddit and Twitter and got a lot of traction. The Twitter account Essence of Drag even posted saying finding out that Briar and Jan had a TikTok beef is hilarious, and they posted screenshots of the videos. But Jan commented on that post saying, liar blush. And it looks like that's the end of the feud for the time being, because I don't think either side has posted about it since then. But I just thought this was a random but interesting feud that I didn't know about before. Also, I saw another bit of tea to do with Briar recently as well. You may remember that in episode 1, Briar and Athena Dion had a little bit of a tiff in the workroom because apparently off camera, Briar said that she would help Athena make gloves for her design challenge look, but then she didn't. And although they did talk about it a bit on camera, it was never fully explained what happened. However, Briar recently appeared on Mistress Isabel Brooks's YouTube channel along with Corey King, and they reviewed episode 1 of season 18, and they asked Briar to explain what happened with the glove situation, and Briar provided a bit more information.
Time we had off camera, this bitch didn't know what she was doing, and she's like, I don't know how to make a panty. I don't know how to make a panty. Bitch, they said you could make undergarments, but whatever. Like, you didn't have to make undergarments. You could have just worn a panty. It's fine. But I sewed her a panty. I also taught her how to make that stupid bow on her head and like how to like flip like what to use around the skirt to make it big and whatever. I told her and taught her and like did some things for her. And then she had some spare pink fabric and she goes, she's like, do you need this? I was like, yeah, I'm thinking about using it. She goes, well, you can have it if you make me gloves. I ended up not needing the fabric. Imagine that gloves helped the outfit. It didn't. It wouldn't have. But I ended up not needing the fabric. So I handed it back to her and I was like, here you go. I don't need it. And she was like, but where are my gloves? And I was like, well, I didn't need the fabric, so why would I make you gloves? And then she was like, Briar Blush, you're a scammer. You're a f***ing scam artist. It's like she popped off off camera. Big mistake not filming that day. She was dead ass screaming at me. And she goes, you know what? I'm glad I'm not your drag mother because you are a scam artist, Miss Briar Blush.
Mistress then joked that when Briar was giving Athena advice in Untucked about what would have elevated her outfit, Mistress thinks Briar missed an opportunity to say, quote, you know what would have taken this outfit to the next level? Gloves. Because Athena's head would have popped off. Briar also said that when she and Athena were arguing in the workroom, she was just laughing, and Briar said, to be totally honest, she loves, quote, rage baiting the queens, and Corey agreed that Briar does that all the time. And I just thought this was kind of interesting, and it gave a bit more backstory of what we didn't see in the episode, because it happened off camera. So there you go, there was the Have Your Say for episodes 1 and 2 of season 18. Let me know what you think of the season so far, and what challenges do you hope come up in future episodes. If you'd like to get early access to my videos, have your comments featured in my Have Your Say videos, as well as exclusive content, for example, like the things that I don't include in my Roscoes because I cut them for time, I put that on Patreon exclusively. So if you do want that, check out my Patreon. I'll put a link in the description, and it's a great way to support the channel. I'd also like to say thank you so much to all of my amazing Patreon members, both the existing but also the new ones that have come in. All of you are absolute legends. I love having you there, and it really does make a massive difference. So thank you all so much. Please make sure you like and comment on these videos because it really does boost it in the algorithm and help promote it to more people and find a new audience. And as always, please make sure you smash that subscribe button. I'm so close to hitting 140,000 subscribers and I'd love for you to help me get there. So please make sure you subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you'll join me in the future for some more Drag Race gossip, secrets, and drama. So from me with my farmer's tan, thank you so much. Bye!